What if I said the best thing you could do for your account was to do nothing at all? Sounds like crazy advice. The fact that I have to turn around to someone who owns an account, whose account is obviously terrible, and my advice is do nothing. Well, that's what you're going to see today. A situation where that is actually the case. And you'll find that this happens more often than you think, especially if you've just returned to the game. Now, your instinct might be, oh, is this to save up hero copies? Is this to save up chests? How new is this guy? Well, no, this is actually something that happens to mid-game or even late-game players. This guy's level 281. He's got 8 million gold, 75,000 gems. He's hoarded everything. We've got 9 spheres, which he should be using for Stellar Shards. 6 million Stellar Shards there. 2.5 million, which means he's halfway to another Transcendence hero. We've got 435,000 Spiritual Essence. The guy has 60 Soul Symbols, 2,500 Heroic Summon Scrolls, and 500 Prophet Orbs, not even including the fact that he can get way more using his 123,000 Glory Coins. This account is stacked. And you'd think, looking at this, that there is so much that I can do. Actually, the best thing I do to this account is nothing at all. And it all comes down to the Glory Challenge. And this is a huge oversight tons of players make when they're looking to transform their account. This guy has, from the Glory Challenge, still the opportunity to build a Tree of Origin 3 hero, which would give him 200,000 Spiritual Essence if he built it in Shadow or Abyss. If he went ahead and regressed that hero and then built one in Fortress or Forest, it would give him another 200,000. Take that with Light and Dark, that takes that total up to 600,000. Add that to what we've already got, and that's just over 1 million Spiritual Essence. But we also have a Sword Flash, who's Tree of Origin 1, but she's not Tree of Origin 1. She's actually level 40, which means she's very almost, minus a 10-star hero, Tree of Origin 2. Which actually means we have 100,000 Spiritual Essence inside this Sword Flash. Add that to our theoretical 1,037,000. That takes us up to a grand total of 1.1 million Spiritual Essence, which is 80,000 Spiritual Essence away from 1.25 million, the total you need to get a hero to Tree of Origin level 120. So the best thing this guy can do is wait. Wait to do anything. And when he gets to a point where he gets those 80,000 more Spiritual Essence, he can then say, right, I'm ready. He'll use 10 Soul Symbols to destroy this Sword Flash. That will remove Sword Flash from the account, which is first of all a good thing, because we don't really need her, because we could build so many other teams here, and there are way better teams than a Sword Flash team now in the modern meta. We could build Lord of Fear Aspen, we could build Mockman, we could build a Jara account, but that's not really the discussion for today's video. It's more a matter of how to optimize that transition. Either way, Sword Flash goes, we get those materials out. It's at that point we then enter the Glory Challenge, or at least begin to upgrade it, by finding ourselves an E5 in the Shadow faction. I'm looking here. Can we build one? Well, we actually already have this Tix pre-built, and this was built way before the Glory Challenge came out. So, because we haven't got a Shadow E5, one thing we could do is regress Tix and rebuild him. But that's a waste of 5 Soul Symbols. So what if instead we built this Tix to Void 4 using the stuff off the Sword Flash, used all those Spiritual Essence to take him up to Tree of Origin 3? Well, that would then go ahead and fix one of our problems by giving us 200,000 Spiritual Essence. We then regress the Tix, which is an awesome thing to do, giving us everything back, which means in theory we can then rebuild him to E5, getting us that reward from the Glory Challenge anyway. And that's important later. We'll then go to the Fortress and Forest faction and look for something we don't need anymore. I'm seeing here an E5 Fiona. If we get rid of Sword Flash, we get rid of the Fiona as well. So, we take her to Tree of Origin 3, destroy her in the process. That gets us also this reward in the Glory Challenge. Then we need to look at the Light and Dark faction. What have we got? Amun-Ra, Drake, Carrie, and oh, we've got a Russell. Perfect. We don't need him. He's here as a tenant, probably for an Eos. And Eos, she needs to go as well. She's not a strong hero. And Russell, not a great hero either. So what I would do is I would go ahead, take that Russell up to Tree of Origin 3, hit up the Glory Challenge, then get our rewards here. Even better, we'd then have that 1.25. So that would mean we go all the way up and get ourselves level 120. Bang. That gets us our first 350,000 spiritual essence from here, and rewards start coming in. At that point, we then go back to the Shadow faction. Remember how we didn't have an E5? Well, we rebuild that Tix. We then take that Tix all the way up to Tree of Origin 5, using the materials from the Russell that we regressed, and we get the bottom row. We then repeat that process for Abyss, we repeat it for Fortress, we do it for Forest, and then we do it for Dark. Building and destroying heroes over and over again to get us 2.1 million spiritual essence and a bunch of stellar shards, all from the bottom row here. So that account would begin this journey. We'd get the 100,000 off the Sword Flash, and we'd add that together to finally end with a whopping total of 3.35 million spiritual essence. Combine that with all the stellar shards that we've got sitting around and the fact that we've got even more in spheres, you can then go ahead and customize this account in any way that you want. You could have Lord of Fear Aspen with awesome support heroes like Halora, like Elena, with Mystic Fairy Freya, and with Ajara. You could change things even more. You could decide, actually, I want to get rid of even more of my heroes. I'm going to build a hero team with a Mockman, and I want to have Lord of Fear Aspen with Ajara, and then, I don't know, you could throw in here another Mystic Fairy Freya, you keep your Halora maybe. There's loads of different options you can do. Heck, you could even focus a team around Jara with Halora, and then we'd want Mystic Fairy Freya with the Vesa, and then you probably would still have Lord of Fear Aspen, eventually getting rid of him to replace him with an Asmodel the Dauntless and an Elena when you eventually get to 6 heroes. Or maybe you build the Elena first, build the Asmodel the Dauntless later, which is probably the better decision. In fact, Elena probably would even want to come on that team a little earlier because Elena is nuts in Void Campaign. Either way, there's tons of different options for how you take the account, but the ability to Tree of Origin your heroes isn't possible without having a ton of these spiritual essence, and Glory Challenge gives you that. Now, one thing you may have noticed is that's going to use a ton of soul symbols. We need 10 to strip the Sword Flash. We then need 5 to regress this hero, 5 to regress that hero. We then take that Russell all the way up, so we need 5 to destroy him, and then 5 for the further heroes at the bottom, which is another 25. So that's going to use 5, 10, 15, plus 25, that's 40 soul symbols, plus the 10 for the Sword Flash, that's 50. Well, fortunately, we have 60 right here. As well, it's the Lunatic Asylum event this week on this account, which means, considering he hasn't touched it, he can go ahead and spend all his gems that he can to do all 40 attempts on these tickets. That might speed up the income of our spiritual essence, but more importantly, it's going to get us attempts in the Lunatic Asylum to investigate these areas. If we enter the lobby, we get ourselves 30 heroic summons, unlocking the office, where we can then go ahead and hit up soul symbols. That's then going to unlock the bathroom, which we could then even use to unlock the ward, which could even get us more materials in the long run, such as stellar shards. So we can use all those areas to collect a bunch of stuff, and given the fact that he's going to get 40 searches just off that, that's 2 of the clues. But the one thing I haven't mentioned is that guy's Prophet Orbs is enough to get us even more searches, which is additional 80. So that's 80 plus 40, that's 120. So that guy is going to be able to do 6 searches minimum in this, which is enough to go ahead and get him an artifact, and it's going to get him half a core of origin, which might be really, really helpful. So there you go. This guy, by doing all that, is going to get himself a further 10 soul symbols from here, not to mention every single pass in the Prophet Summons is going to be an additional 5, so that's another 40 from here. So that takes us from our 60 to 110. At that point, customization can just go wild. But the one thing we need to do to make all that possible is wait. Wait until we get Spiritual Essence, and that will then give you enough to go do everything we pulled in today's video. So sometimes, guys, when your account looks this messy, this unfocused, and you want to destroy everything to go ahead and fix it, sometimes saving your soul symbols until you have a moment where you can fully do that glory challenge is absolutely the decision you need to make. And for the guy who owns this account, that's absolutely my advice to him. Sometimes I can't just log in on an account and fix everything. Sometimes you just need to wait. So good luck, Peasil, the guy who owns this account. Hopefully, when you do get those extra spiritual essence, you can make all those changes. Do go ahead and clear your seal lands as well with those Tree of Origin 5 heroes. That might be a fun little activity for you. And yeah, with all the regressing you'll be doing, and the fact that you've already got quite a lot of backspace. Like, look, this guy has 691 backspace if he goes and tidies some stuff up. He's got tons of room to build and customize his heroes and turn his account into anything he wants. Not to mention, this is what his chests look like. So customization will not be a problem. So best of luck. Go do your homework on the different kinds of teams you can run with 5 Transcendence heroes. I'm sure there's going to be people with tons of recommendations. Lord of Fear Aspen is amazing. You can even go with Starwing Jara as a main hero as well. I think if in doubt, and given the fact you don't have a lot of sublimation, Jara or Aspen will be your better picks. Some people might recommend Vulcan or Mockman or even Ailamak, but they generally need a lot of sublimations to do quite well. And given the fact that this account only just really came back into the game, sublimation is something he doesn't have a lot of. So maybe that's something you'll have to wait for too. But either way, good luck, and let me know when you do get enough spiritual lessons to make those changes. I'd love to see what the account looks like. Until then though, guys, hit that subscribe button. Good luck, Peasil, with your changes. And of course, happy idling.